I'm never beating myself up for making a mistake. Like, that's one thing about me. I've reached a point in my life where if it's not a continuous mistake, because, when you start to make continuous mistakes, then it's like, okay, we got to have a talk with us. You know what I mean? And however that looks for you, like whatever discipline looks like, right? In a conversational type of like dialogue for you with yourself, that's going to determine everything. Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Earthen's Den. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about pivoting in your 20s. Now, I'm definitely in this transitional stage in my life. And as you can tell with my podcast, just how far I've been and the conversations and the things that we're having as I grow and as this podcast grows, we're in a different space now, right? We're in a different space now. We're no longer in a space where we're talking about certain things that we were talking about in the first season. We are at season 6. We have 108. This will be the 182nd episode, right? So I'm just very proud of the progression. I'm very proud of the consistency. For me, Earthen's Den really serves as a creative expressionist like platform, and I love it so much. And so it's been really great. I love just speaking and sharing some insight in regards to the things that I've learned. I really should be a teacher, and I just may be a teacher at some point in my life. But in today's episode, you guys, I want to talk to you guys about the pivot, the big pivot that happens in your 20s. Now, I think if it's something that you've like, for example, if it's something that you've wanted to do your whole life and you're a child and you reach a point where the opportunity can happen and you don't take it, then it may be time for you to pivot. It may be time for you to ask yourself, okay, even though I wanted to be a dancer when I was 12, now that I'm 23, I don't want to do that anymore. And it's okay to be in that space. My biggest transition was, everybody knows I love New York, and I still do. I love New York, but I'm not as infatuated with it, right? Haven't traveled there a few times, and I actually visit pretty frequently because I at least go like once a year. I try to go like at least once a year. And being there, I'm just like, wow, this is such a great place to tourist. And at first, it was everything that I sleep, dreamed, and breathed. It was everything to me. And once I got to experience it, and once I got a little bit older, I realized for myself, I'm like, wow, like I really love stillness. I love nature. I love, just kind of being in a space that is a little country. I'm not really here for big cities, right? I wrote in my book Seasons, I talked about how I felt as though bigger cities fostered a great sense of superficiality amongst the people, right? Everybody was something that I just couldn't, it was just too much to get lost in. And so those are some of the downsides of it. A lot of people used to talk about the cost in regards to New York. I'm going to just touch on this really quick. In regards to money, I grew up where it was always available to me. It didn't really matter where it came from. Now, I ain't talking about illegal things and, nothing crazy, but money was always available to me. So that was ingrained in my brain that anything that I wanted to do, it was going to be provided for, right? On top of having a job when I was like 16, you know what I mean? I was really young. And so for me, it was always like that when there's a will, there's a way. So money was something that I understand it. I get it. Of course, it's something that, is a determining factor. Like, you want to have money, but for me personally, it's never anything that's not available. I don't really see money as a roadblock for me. I've never seen that, right? Because anytime I've ever wanted something, needed something, I had it. They're like some way, somehow it was going to happen, right? I grew up that way. I was a little spoiled. And then once I start, doing things on my own, shucking and driving, I just grew up that way. So money has never really been like, oh my gosh, this is so expensive. Like, that's never been my thing. Like, it's always just kind of been like, okay, how can we get this? Because this is what I want. And I'm not really taking no for an answer. Right. So when people talk about New York and LA and all these places and they say, oh, the cost is so exuberant, I think you should just be mindful of that talk anyway, because I think the moment that you put up things that are just out of your control in the current, you know what I mean? Like, how can you say money's not available when it's literally trillions of dollars being printed every day? Like, trillions of dollars? Like, girl, is that even how can I see it? Can I see what that looks like? You know what I mean? So to me, it's just kind of like, that's not even physically, it's not even possible for it not to be available because trillions of dollars are being printed every day. And I'm pretty sure that's more than enough for you to do whatever it is you're trying to do with your dream. Trust me, honey. I don't even think that you could spend it in a lifetime. I don't even think your grandchildren, children can spend that in a lifetime. Like, with all y'all years combined, So first of all, that's kind of how I grew up. So I have a very abundant and prosperous mindset in regards to money. So that wasn't really a deterring factor. It just was, I got to New York this one time and I was like, man, do I really want to be out here? You know what I mean? Like, do I really want to live here? Like, I love the culture. I love all of these things. And I always said to myself, I'm like, all right, if I move to New York, I'm only going to be here for a few years, right? And people say, oh, you say that and then you'll be here X amount of years. No, because I'm always someone who's changing, especially now. Like, I'm constantly changing. So I just knew, like, I would only be here for a short amount of time. And I said, even still after that, I never wanted to settle down and have a family there. I never wanted to raise kids in New York. It's just too much. I don't even like the thought of having a little person carrying along behind me just gives me anxiety in New York. Like, I have to watch over someone. Like, it's just too much. I'm already watching over me. You know what I mean? Making sure I'm not dropping my gear. So I'm just like, that thought was just like not even something that I would ponder on. And then, it just can be very crowded. I really like to be outdoors and just have my own space. And of course, I'm sure there's a way to do that in New York. But I just knew for myself it will always be based on like a couple of months like worth of projects that I would be working on. But it was never, I don't think that I wanted to make it a lifestyle. And if I did, it wouldn't be something long term. And so that was actually a very hard place for me to come. And I was in denial about it for a while. And I really battled back and forth with it because it felt like a dream deferred. It felt like I had gave up on myself in regards to the things that I wanted to do. It was so hard for me to let go and accept that truth about myself, that I had changed and that it was time to pivot on my mission. And so, I would, sit in that space of denial for, a brief amount of time. And what I found was, the longer I sat there, the more I kept resonating and attracting things. Rather, I wasn't even resonating with it, but I was attracting a lot of things into my life that was connected to that old version of me. You know what I mean? And so I was like, dang, this is really, really crazy. And, you start to sit into a space and you're like, okay, I understand, like, I used to be this one way, but I'm not that way anymore. And so you have to have the courage to pivot. And, I talked to you guys about the multifacetedness and being multi-gifted and multi-talented. There are a lot of things that I want to do in my life. There are a lot of things that I plan to do in my life, God willing. And so the beautiful thing about this here is that I encourage everybody to write. Like, I'm a writer. I'm a journalist. I tell people, like, write things down. It makes a huge difference. And so every idea that I've ever wanted to do, I wrote it down. And like, I literally have down like everything that I want to do in my life. And I believe that it's possible, but I don't think that it's all possible right now, right? It's not possible right now. You don't have to do everything right now. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is that I was watching Harlem, which I love Megan Good in this series. It is so fabulous, honey. I've binged the whole thing. And trust me, I'm not even a binger. Like, I don't even really watch TV just because I don't know. The time that I have that's free, I just don't really want to waste it watching TV. And so it's like, when I watch TV, I'm like, wow, this was really good. So Harlem is fabulous. I love it so much. I see myself in Camille so much. I love her character. But, she was in therapy and her therapist told her, like, hey, you're getting older, right? So for me, it was like, wow, that was just such an aha moment. And it was kind of like a double confirmation because when I was younger, I wanted these things. But now that I'm getting older, I'm changing, right? And I don't want those things anymore. And I was in denial and I battled with that because I was so scared of like what the future held. I'm like, wait a minute, that has been the plan since '09. Like, that has been the plan. That has been, you know what I mean? And I think so often as artists, as entrepreneurs, as people, just as humans, right, we have the ability to really want to stick to something and we want to see our dreams come true and we want to be consistent, but we don't talk enough about the pivot, right? And I talked to you guys a little bit about being in your 20s and just how you have to try a multitude of things to find that one thing that you really want to do, especially if you're multi-talented and especially, right, if you are someone who doesn't necessarily know what it is that you want to do, right? Like, you have to try a lot of different things to find your thing. And so that was just such an aha moment for me. And I just had to get on here and tell you guys today, I pray that, everyone comes into a space where you can accept the new things that God is doing in your life. And you will actually take a moment to release all of the old things, right? It's okay that you wanted to have a boutique when you were 18 and you started it and now you're 25 and you don't want to do that anymore. That is okay, right? Like, you change so much in your 20s. Like, and even still for me, there's still so much more to go, right? There's still, like, I even noticed the way I dress. I got rid of so many of my clothes. Like, I'm not even kidding. My drawers are super scarce, and I'm so thankful for it, because then that just gives me a reason to go out and buy new things, which I'm actually very proud of that. And I will not be ashamed of my justifications for my shopping habits. Right. But I'm just so excited because I'm like, wow, like everything in here doesn't resonate with me anymore. And so I highly encourage everybody to get into a space in your life and just be okay with the mere truth that you're changing. Be okay with the simple fact that you're not going to like the same things you've always wanted to do. And that's okay. Now, this isn't going to resonate for everybody, right? I do believe in consistency. For me, even though certain plans have changed and, certain visions, certain dreams seem as though they're deferred, what I found on the other side was something so much greater and something so much more fulfilling, because it resonates with me now, right? It's not necessarily me holding on to this image or this personification of everything that I was or I wanted or I felt like I should have, right? Because I think as you grow older, especially in your 20s, mid-20s, you're getting older, you're going to actually start to find yourself. And so it's kind of like a beautiful butterfly, if you will. Like, you actually start to shed layers of everything everybody says you should be. You know what I mean? And so coming into this space now, it just looks completely different for me, and as I sit here today, I'm like, wow, I'm actually very thankful that I've come into this space of like, just a brief moment of solitude for myself, because God was able to show some things to me, reveal some things to me. And I found a lot of things within myself. And I'm like, wow, I was able to really put things into perspective and understand where it is that I want to take it from here. And I'm actually on track to do that. And so I encourage everybody, like, listen, it's okay if you always wanted to do something. It's okay if you're still struggling with, the expectations of others. But trust me, honey, once you get to a point where you're so unhappy, you're gonna like, that's a lesson I think everybody got to learn. I think we come out the gate just kind of doing that with, other people's expectations, and it's a process. I'm not going to say that I don't ever, because I want to be great and I take pride in what I do. I want to be excellent in the things that I do, but I'm not perfect. And I understand that it actually is there are processes in place to get to that place of becoming, but I'm more on the journey, right? And so it's understanding that you're going to have to shed those expectations, but it happens for people in their own way, you know what I mean? And you have to first address what those things are, and you have to connect with yourself and find like what is really true to me, and don't be afraid to pursue that, because I can tell you right now, it's a very beautiful thing when you get to the other side. And I'm very thankful to have made that shift and have pivoted on something that I was so stern about and I was so certain about for my entire life, and I can honestly say I'm at a point in my life where my vision is always the same. It's always been to inspire whatever capacity, whether it's me writing my book Seasons, which is available on Amazon, or creating a podcast, or doing the things that I'm working on currently, right? It's always been to inspire. So I just love that God is able to use me in that sense. And my purpose is always in perspective with everything that I do. So I'm always on track in regards to that, even if the plans change, even if the vision is something different and we have to pivot, and, it's something that was completely unexpected, but it's so beautiful. And I love what I'm learning along the way. And I encourage everyone to be in that space of courageousness and a space of peace in regards to plans changing, because I can honestly say what you find on the other side of that is so beautiful. There's something that is just so inexplicably like beautiful about plans changing and unpredictability. I love that, right? So you never really know where life will take you. Keep God close and focus on the vision, and don't worry about pivoting. So send in my love, send in my light. I hope that this was insightful, and I hope everybody has an amazing day.